Hello. Based on the concept of appealing to a higher, in this case divine authority, the Anglo-Saxon legal system contained provision for establishing guilt or innocence through trial by ordeal. The event took place in a religious setting with clergy present, generally while Mass was being celebrated, and typically involved fire. An iron rod would be heated, which the accused had to grasp and carry for a distance of 9 feet. The hand would then be bandaged. After 3 days it would be examined, and if the wound was deemed to be healing cleanly, it signified innocence. An alternative to the red-hot iron bar was plucking a stone from a cauldron of scalding water, the depth of which might depend on the severity of the felony. Ordeal by water involved an individual being tied up and thrown into deep water which had been blessed by a priest. If they sank, it was a sign the water accepted their body and they were innocent. If they floated, it indicated guilt, and according to the rules of the ordeal, would suffer the loss of a hand, and from 1166 also a foot for perjury. A papal edict of 1215 banned clergy from participating in trial by ordeal, possibly reflecting a passage in chapter 4 of Matthew's Gospel, when Jesus is being tempted by Satan in the wilderness to prove he is the Son of God, and responds, "It is written, you shall not put the Lord thy God to the test." The last documented record of trial by fire is in 1219. However, the practice of trial by water had the occasional revival, notably during the witch hunts of the mid-17th century. Trial by oath was a system known as compurgation, whereby an accused could call on up to 12 oath helpers, essentially character witnesses, to attend a court hearing on their behalf and swear on oath to their innocence and good behaviour. The value of the testimony was measured by the status of the oath helpers, clearly a system open to corruption. Records of the same names appearing as oath helpers in different cases suggest that for some it was almost a profession. Instances are documented of charges being brought against false procurers in the courts, taking money from both sides, by which truth and justice are stifled. After the Norman conquest, the administrative framework of shires, hundreds and tithings by and large continued unchanged. The Normans introduced the idea of trial by battle into the judicial system. As with trial by ordeal, it was based on the idea of judgment by God, and took place in a religious setting. An accused individual would offer, in the formulaic phrase, to defend himself with his body. Sources suggest this was undertaken with bare hands and feet, and with a choice of weapons, including hammers, clubs and sandbags, as well as swords and daggers as might be expected. Usually the battle began in the early morning and was to death or submission. If the fight lasted until sunset without a winner, the challenger was deemed to have lost. The wheeze with trial by battle was that in civil cases a champion could be nominated, a practice that may well be the origin of the surname champion. In the 13th century, the Bishop of Hereford paid an annual retainer to Thomas of Bruges to defend the rights and property of the diocese should a case be brought against him. Various attempts to abolish trial by battle failed. The practice was defended in Parliament in 1774 as a pillar of the Constitution. It was 1819 before it was finally removed from the statute book. As recently as 2002, a 60-year-old unemployed mechanic, facing a fine from the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, pleaded not guilty and tried to claim he had the right, under European rights legislation, to prove his innocence, offering to do so with either samurai swords, Gurkha knives or hammers. His offer was refused and he was fined substantially more than the original penalty notice, plus required to pay costs. Next time, canon law and ecclesiastical courts. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.